What is going on, everyone? James Third Bass Slayers. Today we're in the backyard and we are going to be talking about handmade baits that I make. This is the very first bait that I ever made, and it's actually out of an old cherry leg that was getting thrown away, and I decided to carve that guy up and make a bait out of it. The connections on this thing are gigantic and they're ugly, and they're actually like screw-in eye holes that you would get at the hardware store. And then the tails, same thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I put an eye hole and this thing on there, and yeah, since the beginning of bait building for me, I've gotten a little bit better at it. I'm not the best. There are some really good bait builders out there, and when I started building these, I just started making them for fun. And as my Instagram's grown and I've looked into more stuff, man, there's a lot of people out there that build these things, and a lot of people that do a really, really good job at it. I recently had somebody buy one off of me for the first time, and I wanted to thank him for buying that bait off of me. You know who you are. Kind of lit a fire underneath me, made me realize I need to actually get out and carve some more stuff. So I'm just going to show some of these baits that I've made. This is the first one, kind of the whimsical paint job. This is all Rust-Oleum spray paint that I used to paint that guy. Let's go through order here of the ones that I did. This is the second one I did. This was the other part of the chair leg. Got those big ugly hook hangers on it. I got a little smarter with the bill after swimming that one, seeing how it swam. That one dives a little more because the bill's kicked out this way a little more. The more you kick it in, the more it will stay up top. If you kick it out more, it will dive and be like more of a crank down. And like this guy right here, how that bill is kicked way out like that. This guy actually dives way down, and this is another one of the first ones I made. It's all Rust-Oleum spray paint, just kind of splatted on there, and then I took acrylic paint and did the details on these guys. Pretty cool baits. I only got a couple out here. I didn't bring all of them. I got a whole bunch out in my bait room. This guy's got the smaller head. I didn't really know what I was doing when I built this guy. Still swims pretty good. And then look at those tails. That's actual skunk fur from a fishing derby that I was in a long time ago. And it's kind of like a spoof joke kind of fishing derby. And I actually got the skunk trophy for getting third place. And it's got skunk tail fur on it. So I clipped a bunch off and I put it in the mold. And that's actual skunk fur. Pretty crazy. That guy's pretty cool. Different colors. A little dirty. This guy's just been sitting out in my bait room, man. He's got that fish in his mouth. Trying to play with different ideas on the bills. Use up as much of the space of the bait you can to make the bait more presentable to a fish. I made this little guy, and I didn't have a bill on it, and I just wanted it to wobble through the water, and it didn't wobble quite the way that I wanted it to. So I added the bill to it, and now it kicks a little bit better. I haven't really caught fish on these. I just take them out and mess with them and play with them. I think I should. I think I need to dedicate myself to just start throwing these, and I was talking to Devin about that. And I'm going to start letting these baits get out to people. I made this guy, wake bait, different type of tail with this one. That is an old paintbrush that I took and I glued together. I carved a little hole down in the back. Made that guy pretty cool, little wake bait. This guy actually swims really good. This one was the one that I realized how to actually weight the baits right. If you're gonna weight your baits, you want the biggest weights closest to the joints, and as you go farther away, your holes need to get smaller and less weight, and it'll keep that joint the center point of all of the weight. Ooh, made this little weird looking guy with the weird joint. It doesn't really swim like I thought it would, but if you impart the action on this thing, it actually swims really good. It's got that weird paint job on it with the foil. Pretty crazy paint job on that thing. Little tiny tail on it. Haven't caught anything on that yet. I threw that at Rancho Seco a bunch, and it looks really cool in the crystal clear water. Yeah. Okay, now this was a two-parter here. This was an old baseball bat of my daughter's. This is a trout eating a rat. That was an accident. I was actually carving a trout, and I got sidetracked. I forget what I was doing. Got sidetracked somehow, and I started carving the head of a mouse, like the other ones that I do, because that's just what I've always carved, and I forgot that I was carving a fish's head on it, so I decided to just make it a trout eating a rat. This thing has got smacked a lot. This is the other side of it. Hold on a second. Now, if you noticed on all of my baits, they got the single hinge. That allows its tail to kick, not just kick, but also roll like this in the water. I had this a single. I don't know if you can see in there. I had this a single joint, and it would roll, and it was more erratic in the water. I went back and I clipped it out, and I made it a double joint in there. It swims a little more straight now, but I was getting way more action on these things with just the single centerpiece instead of the double like that. So I think I'm going to go back to the single centerpieces, and that's basically what I have done here. Let me show you that guy. This is the other part of the baseball bat. It was my daughter's baseball bat from when she was a kid. It was a River Cats baseball bat, and I made a California king snake out of that because I seen one on TV or something, and I was like, yeah, that looks pretty cool. California king snake. The head kicks a little bit, but that tail really gets going. Pretty cool paint job on that thing. And I made this guy the other day. All fish. We gotta make it official. I brought this guy out to test him. Now everybody wants to see how my baits swim in the water. They're alright. They swim aight. Because it's got that single joint on it, it's erratic in the water. When I put the double joint on it, it's not as erratic. If you burn it, it'll crank down just a little bit. I didn't make the bill on this one too big because I wanted it to be more of a wake and not such a crank down. Got that really nice retrieve, and then it gets that, it's got its own little, like, everybody knows when you're running a big bait you want to run it and then kill it. This thing kind of does it on its own. Cool. More of the smaller, straight, flat bill. As you can see, the builds are getting better as I've been going along. I just sent one out this morning in the mail that I was really happy with when I was done with it. I hope the person getting it is happy with it. I did that one a bluegill color. This guy's got that tail. Now what I did with these tails is I hand carved a piece of wood and then I molded it with recycled Senkos. And so far, like with the trout one, I caught a bunch of fish on it and they have not ripped that tail off. If they do, just take a little pin or some kind of metal, like the back of the drill bit or something, and you just push out, or you can just re-drill out the toothpick, and then if the tail rips off, you just pop the toothpicks out, stick the new tail in, pop those toothpicks in there, and I'm actually gonna, where'd it go? Okay, so I got 3 of these guys, the dank baits, the wake and bakes. These are special order, people wanted them, so I made them. I'm going to double coat the heads. The tails are double coated. It's to keep the leaves on there better. And I forgot to number these guys, so I got to number them and then recoat the tops. I got those tails in there. And so I was saying I got 3 of these guys. These are going to be for sale. So with this guy, I'll show you guys real quick. There's no tail in there. Take a toothpick. The toothpick fits through. Now the trick to it is, when you're drilling it out, I drill it out with a small drill bit that only the tip of this can fit into. You can see that. I do that on both, and I go all the way through. And then I come back and only on the bottom here, and the top here, I make it wide enough for it to fit all the way in. And it's opposites. So now what that's going to do, let's just call it slate. You got to have completely perfect toothpicks though too. Some of these toothpicks aren't exactly straight. Yeah, this one's off a little bit. So take that, make sure the tail's the right way. Find the hole it'll go into on this side. You just shove it all the way through, and you'll see the tip of it right there. It'll be sticking out like this. Just take my knife with a nice new blade on it and just score around the toothpick. Try to do it without messing up the epoxy. And just take that guy and snap it off. Push that tail down in there, make sure it's nice and in there. Toothpick on the other side, right through the other hole. And sometimes what I'll do with it, it's not going all the way, take something hard and just give it a little nudge. That one I made sure it came all the way through. That's poking out right there. So take your knife, pop that guy off. It's really splintered. You can kind of push it in there with something if you want to. It's not a big deal. It's not going to get in the way of anything. Score around it. You don't have to cut all the way through. Just pop that guy off. And one last little trick that I do, I take a Sharpie and I just kind of darken that out right there, make it blend in with the paint job. Something like that. Now that tail's on there and it ain't coming off. Pretty cool. So that's how I put those tails on. And here's the two tails. I made two different sizes. Just hand carved. This one, same width. I just carved it out of this stuff. It's a lot easier. And I just made a two-piece mold out of these. And then recycled plastics for the tails. And I'm in the middle of this guy. Pink on that. Pretty cool colors, man. I don't know, I wanted to go wild with this one, so I did like the magenta on the bottom with the pink on the side and a pearlized purple, pearlized pink little scale on there. And I'm going to do a similar paint job to one of these guys with the big giant eyeballs and the acrylics on the whole entire paint job. Yeah, it should come out pretty cool. I'm going to do like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet. Think about doing arms and legs on it. I don't know, we'll see where it goes. I probably won't. I'll probably look back at this video and go, what was I thinking? I don't know. Maybe I'll just make it look like a mouse, like one of these ones. And I'll just paint the legs and stuff on it and all the detail. I think I might do that. Well, no. No. So there I go again, trying to make a rat look like a fish. Yeah, it's funny. I'll probably just paint this like a fish. Make it look whimsical. Anyways, that's my little bait collection. All my different baits. Well, these are my wake baits. And if you guys want me to hand make you something, I can hand make you a bait. Just let me know. If you guys want one of these guys, they are for sale. Just give me another day on them. I'm gonna go in the bait room and I'm gonna throw an extra coat of epoxy on these because I just don't like the way the leaves are poking out. I've never really had a problem with the epoxy, but when you get stuff like this where the leaves are sticking up and you get these spots like this, little tiny spot where that stem's poking up right there, if that catches on something, it's gonna blow out the whole thing. So I'll just epoxy over this again and it'll make it a little bit thicker on those spots. I did it on the backs here and it made it way more smoother too. It was all dimpled out. So yeah, these things are pretty cool in the sunlight. Wake and bakes, man. I don't know. People wanted them, so I made them. Anyways, Urban Bachelors. Trying to think of something else to say, but I think I'm just going to cut this short. It's 16, almost 17 minutes long. Been seeing a lot of you guys out there catching a lot of good fish, man. Keep doing it. I wish I could get out more. I got my daughter with me right now, and I just helped her get through her school stuff and all that. And, yeah. Anyways. Hopefully all these lakes open up and everything goes back to normal really soon. It's getting ridiculous. Urban Bachelors. Thanks for watching, guys.